Oh, it's that time of the week again. We're churning them out. As I said last week, episode 6. Where does the time go? A view from the hazards. Tell you what, Ben, I'll spare you a hazard joke.
Good, because I was just
We
thinking.
don't actually. Yeah, exactly. Don't worry, we'll spare you it. We'll cut straight to the chase. That's a term from real tennis, if you didn't know already. Robert Shankman, Ben Taylor Matthews here again. So,
What have you been up to this morning, Shanks?
we've been hitting, haven't we? 8 till 10. Was in doubt initially. Could have been a 9 till 11, but no, 8 till 10. We're there.
Stuck at it.
Yeah, stuck at it. You were pretty good today.
I did all right today.
You were actually really good. I say that. Moving well. But no,
Stretching, I'm trying to stretch.
Oh yeah,
It's making a big difference.
I like that. Well, that's
It's
good.
making a big difference.
You can always learn, can't you? You can always learn. But
Something that like someone of your age just wouldn't appreciate or know anything about. But
no, couldn't give a fuck to be fair about stretching. Generally don't care, but maybe it'll add years to my life.
it might prolong your tennis career.
Yeah, as you were saying, when I'm 53, I'll still be running around getting worse, but still enjoying it.
Hacking it around, but just reliving the glory days.
Guaranteed. So, I mean, this podcast, you messaged me last week, or maybe it was earlier this week, and you said, right, it's your topic. Hit me with something.
It's all you today.
I know it is. So, I mean, give me a genuine reaction. I think people enjoy, right, with this podcast, they enjoy a bit of insight. They want to know a bit about what goes into another person's real tennis career, maybe. So, my question to you is, what is the greatest match you've ever been involved in? Like, and what sort of significant moments in your career, maybe, or in a match, which just stick out? There you go.
Right. Okay. Okay. I can think of like a couple of things like that pop into my head straight away. So, I mean, so what was the exact question? What's the greatest?
Yeah, what's the greatest match you've ever been involved in?
been
Where you
involved in?
literally walked off court and you were like, "Fuck, I've been involved in something special," or just like, "Oh, that was really happy. That's made me happy."
Well, I mean, I can't really. You can't like. 2012, like World Championship Eliminator.
That's brilliant.
First time I'd been there, like special moment. Family all came out to watch me play. I know that sounds a bit soppy and stuff. Like literally the only time they've ever watched me play in like a serious match. Well, like I mean, that horse and cart out of Dorset takes a while.
Exactly. Yeah.
Takes a while. No motor.
The telegram took
It just
months
like
to
stuck
come.
exactly. I had to send the like invite down by pigeon. That's obviously like a proud moment because it's a world championship match, and even if I end up like retiring and feeling like I've underachieved, at least I've
You
done
won't
that.
You won't have underachieved.
Well, no majors yet.
Maybe your potential wasn't to win a major. Who knows?
Who knows? So that obviously like sticks out a little bit. I reckon probably like the greatest. I mean, this is going to sound really weird actually, but it was actually a match that I lost. That I think is probably the greatest match I've ever been part of.
Nice.
Which is quite bizarre. British Open semi-final against Rob a couple of years ago.
Oh God. Yeah.
Just because of like the nature of
2018. I just remember watching it and like that hurt me. That did watch
just because of the like.
It was long.
Well, yeah, it was long. But I think it was just the like seesaw nature of the like what happened. Like I won the first two sets, and then, I think I got like pumped in the third. But was like 5-2 up in the fifth, maybe, or something. 5-2 up in the fourth, maybe.
You were, yeah.
And lost it 6-5, and then I was 4-love up in the fifth and lost it 6-5. And like I remember like coming off thinking like, wow, that's obviously quite special. Obviously, I wasn't very happy about it. I remember because Bryn marked it. I went into the changing room.
Bryn was marking. Wow.
Went into the pro shop like just after, and I just said like, you know, he's like, oh, bad luck, and I was like, well, did I cock that up, or because I don't feel like I remember saying like I don't feel like I've like thrown that away.
I remember your match point. I was
like, I don't feel like I've thrown that away, and he just said, oh, you know, you just reined in your backhand like a little bit, whereas you were being a bit aggressive, and he's like, no, you didn't like fall apart or choke or anything like that. I had a match point. It was like chase 3 or something, and
yeah, I remember you went down the line with your return. It was like a length ball, and he stepped in on a half volley and basically
hit like a timbre or something.
He went round the walls,
round the corner,
round the walls, and it was basically just like because it went quite hard. You couldn't really get any sort of purchase on it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like you could have beat second gallery with it, but like beating 3 would have been like taking exceptional.
Did I hit the net? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was.
I remember like having a match point and thinking like,
you were at the Hasdale.
It's not like I've just binned this into the floor.
No.
So Yeah, I mean, it was one of those ones like people were like really like standoffish because they were like, you must be gutted. And I was like, well, yeah, obviously, I would have liked to have won that,
Yeah,
obviously, but like I was pretty. Like I was okay with how I played. Like I wasn't like, oh my god, because there's so many people that would lose a match and just be in a mood because they've lost the match. And I actually just like thought about it for like a few minutes, and I was like, right, did I just completely balls that up? And like, don't get me wrong, from 2 sets up, you're the favourite to win.
yeah.
And yeah, 5-2 in the fourth or whatever it was, and 4-love in the fifth. But I don't feel like everything points to a massive choke there. But I remember thinking like, I don't feel like I've just fallen apart. I mean,
Yeah.
the guy's like the greatest of all time. So
Yeah, he won. Rob genuinely didn't
you're not
give
just
it.
going to roll the guy. You
He
know what I
didn't
mean?
give it to you. He definitely didn't give it to you. I remember watching it. I was just like, "Fuck!" Like Rob just hit a few in the net.
And
Like,
that was what
please.
I thought. Like with what happened at the end, I don't feel like I gave it to him.
No,
Other people might have.
he did
their
win
own
with
opinion
some
on it.
absolutely rank lob, like genuine, like
We said the railroad Nick at 5-all in the fifth, like the first railroad
yeah,
that had even been half decent as well,
yeah. And it was just so wasn't match point. Like he literally hit a lob.
something like that. But I
Yeah,
mean,
it was one of them.
the great players can always find a Nick when they need to, right?
Oh my god, can they? But no, I see what you mean there. That was like quite an epic game. It's a shame you didn't win.
Well, I had actually like that autumn.
Good, also good
That
period.
autumn was good because I beat Rob in the French Open semis in straight sets.
Yeah.
Beat him 3-love, and then a few weeks later I played him here at Leamington in the IRTPA semis, and I was 2 sets up
Yeah.
and lost in 5. Again, didn't really do anything. That was probably the best 3 months of my career, I think.
It's
Even though
never.
I lost 2 to Rob in 5 and beat him in straight in the French. But like in terms
Yeah.
of like just like
And you,
digging in, like
and you beat him in
being.
National League, 2-love at Morton.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I won 5 sets in a row against him. Oh no, it was just after the British Open, I think. Yeah, that was the big one. But yeah, I think that was the 3 months where I was like, I've done as well as I can do. Then I'm not going to beat myself up about it. I didn't crumble like I have done, like I have and am prone to doing.
Yeah.
I didn't give up. I just kept going all the way through, and I was happy with that.
Well, that's why like I sort of thought of this topic anyway, just because I was thinking, obviously with coronavirus, like we might all die soon, and just like listen.
We
to,
won't.
No, we will not. Listening to the Peter Crouch podcast, they're always talking about his career. They always want to know a bit of insight. So that's where this sort of question came from, because it's like everyone's got a personal match, which they're like, yeah, you know what, this was a big day.
Well, here's a question for you:
Go
Is
on.
there any match that you've watched of mine that sticks out for you as one of the like something special,
I've watched a lot of them, to be fair.
or even of anyone's? Like, what match have you?
I recall watching US Open final. I think you were marking. No, you were around. You were around.
Hopefully, I wouldn't have been marking.
2016. Steve against Cam, and Cam had just been injured for a while, and it was like his first Open
Chicago.
back. Yeah, Chicago, yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously it was a big packed house, and it went to 5. Steve was 4-1 up in the 5th. I'm sorry, Steve. I know you're an avid listener, but as I say, it's a positive spin on this because I think that was just an unbelievable game. I love watching it. I remember I stood upstairs with a guy called Adrian Grant who used to play pro squash because he was there with Salming who was watching Steve.
Okay.
I remember I was explaining the rules to him. My dad was there. Gooding was there. I remember talking with Gooding about the game. I think Gooding was actually, potentially not. But yeah, it was just, yeah, it was like some of the highest quality I've ever watched. Obviously, 2 left-handers. Yeah, that was insane.
I mean, in terms of like great matches of like the past, obviously, there's going to be some amazing like World Championship finals and all that kind of stuff, but like stuff that we don't know.
Yeah.
But like since I've been around, like Cam and Steve had some absolute humdingers in semi-final.
In it, that 7-6 in the final eliminated must
Well,
be,
like
must be
final,
good.
I don't know how long the period was, like 2-3 years maybe. It might even been 4. I don't know. But there was a period of time where those two would play each other in the semis every time because it was before all the seedings got flipped.
Oh, really?
So Rob was always at the top, just like rubbing his hands. Thanks very much.
Beating people.
One of those two would just like chop the other one, so that would be fine. And it was just like every single time they stepped on court, you just knew it was going to be 5 sets.
Really?
Yeah. Like somebody, Steve could win the first 2 or Cam could win the first 2. It just wouldn't. You were just like, this is just not finished.
I remember at Manchester in the RTPA they went to 5, and that was when Cam did his shoulder. That's one maybe 2012, 2013, 2012 I'm going to say. And I just remember Steve winning that. But yeah, that was honestly like Cam was so like angry the entire game. It was mad. Like it was quite a late game on maybe a Thursday or something like that. And yeah, Cam was just so angry. Like They were so into it, honestly.
It's probably because the crowd weren't cheering for him.
I don't think there was anyone watching.
Oh, was it in Manchester?
Yeah. But yeah, it was weird. Like, yeah, some of those matches. I don't know if you can put your finger on any of them, but like the final eliminator 7-6 is pretty cool.
Yeah, where was that?
That's a good
Tux?
question. America, yeah, somewhere. I'm gonna say Tux, yeah, because didn't one Steve gonna try and play in like a vest? Didn't you say?
I think he rocked up on day one. It was because I think
Yeah,
it was.
it's a good idea.
It would have been Tux because Steve had beaten Bryn in the eliminator, and I'd been Bryn's practice partner, and then Bryn stayed out and hit with Steve for the. That I believe must have been the final eliminator after the US Open, where Stout beat Cam and Bryn beat Steve.
We'll keep referring to that Open forever, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean,
it is famous.
What a weird. Well, there you go. Not greatest matches of all time, but like weirdest tournament of all time.
Yeah, that one.
World number 5 versus world number 9 in the final.
I love how Stout won that. I just absolutely love how Stout won an Open.
And
it gets me every time.
None of the 4 guys in the doubles final were in the singles final. So in the 2 finals, we had 6 completely different people.
It's sick. That's unreal. That'll never happen again, ever.
That's a pretty random. And I was the worst guy on court by a mile and took home a trophy.
I know. 2010. What was that? 2010?
Yeah, 2010.
Mate, that's a long time ago. That's 10 years ago.
God. What's happened in that time?
Well, coronavirus.
What about you?
Biggest.
Let's take it. You know this. I mean, because you've been playing for years.
Mate, I've been playing for like as long as you since I was 9.
You could exactly, but you've like come through the ranks. Obviously, I've been like better than 10 for like a lot longer than I wasn't better than 10. You know what I mean? Whereas you've done the whole thing.
That's true. Actually,
you must have some like ripping like National League matches that you remember where you were like down at like Oxford on a Thursday evening and the lights had gone out and it was 4-all in the third and like
not quite so
crazy stuff like that.
I have been at Oxford on like a cold Thursday evening.
Division 8.
Yeah, playing against like Roman. I just remember like
in Division 8?
No, I never know. I started in Division 1, mate. I just remember my 5-setter with AJ Kemp.
Oh, mate, the same Chicago tournament.
That tournament is a good tournament.
That tournament goes down in history.
Yeah, Stout semi-finalist. But that match, like I remember I was the fellow and I lost the first set like 6-2, getting wiped.
Well, hang on, what was let's give this some context. Like you were massively the underdog.
Yeah, I was like an 11.
Yeah,
and
he was off about 6 or something. Yeah. So like it was all things pointed to like straight sets.
And I remember
or maybe a pinch of set.
He was like 5-3 or 5-4 up in the second, and I think I won that 6-5. And then he won the fourth, and I remember saying to Dodgson, like he was marking, like I'm really sorry, mate. And he was just like, mate, don't worry, it's good. Like he was loving it, to be fair. And there's one shot which I'll always remember.
There's one shot I always remember.
In that entire game, because obviously neither me nor AJ can actually hit a target, can kill a ball. I think we're both just hitting timbers and stuff. But like it was in the fifth, and I was just so tired, like so tired. And
first 5-setter. You must have been absolutely bollocks.
Yeah, I was fucked. Like I remember, honestly. And I was just like, Jesus Christ, just get me off court. And he's basically, I've hit one down to his backhand, and he's like,
hang on, if we're talking about the same shot, you're at the hazard end.
Yeah, I'm at the hazard end. Yeah, okay, 100%. We're talking about the same shot. And he's just hacked it back, and literally, I'm at the back of the court. I must be at like 2 yards at the hazard end, and I've just taken on this volley.
It's just like it's a defensive like backhand, isn't it, from him? And it's looped up, and it's like. Floor back wall, chop it in the corner if you want it. And you've just stepped up.
I just stood and volleyed it like.
Basically, just closed your eyes and swung like tried to hit a home run.
And I've just gone like 5-3 up.
It's just gone flying down the line into the dead on. I remember I was watching
because you were up there with Lumley.
I was up in the top corner because Chicago, for those of you who haven't been, has got like a really really cool like spectating area. It's hard to basically see where it is, isn't it? So it's
a dangerous place that.
Missed name walls.
Can you imagine if Steve's playing as well?
Rackets.
If Steve's like boasting, and you go high.
It's too far back from that.
Yeah.
But it's basically on the out of play. If you're at the service end and you look to the left and you've got the out of play line above the service penthouse, it's in like the back left corner. Yeah, so you're basically in the top, not top, but you're in like the top-ish corner of that like service corner looking across the court, so you can't see like that much on the floor and stuff. But it's an interesting like vantage point.
Yeah, I know. I just remember that game 1-5, and then we went and watched Deadpool after.
Just what you wanted. Sit in a seat for 2.5 hours.
Oh yeah, the next day was really bad. Yeah, me, Robbie Whitehouse, Leon, Lumley was there, Dodgson.
Whitehouse of Pain was there.
He was there. But I just remember that it sticks out for me.
What an absolute hero Robbie Whitehouse is.
That match, and then none of the others are up there because that was a formative experience. There we go. I'll put that on record on the podcast. But no, we'll see what happens in the after Corona. We'll see if the season ever happens. Just while we've got 5 minutes before we talk about maybe the cyborg. Slightly disjointed structure to this podcast, but I'm going with it. We're going with it.
We're making it up on the spot.
Yeah,
proving that it's not scripted.
100% no. Right, well, I mean, the World Championships has been postponed. I can't even say it. How's this going to affect the season? I mean, like, are people going to go to the US Pro, the Champions Trophy? Is the 0 to 9s going to get cancelled? That's the main thing.
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I hadn't really thought about that. My first thought was that they've moved it to October, which is generally speaking the IRTPA champs kind of window. So obviously that'll be moving.
Yeah, and tied to the French as well. Tied to the French. Will Cam go to the French?
Well, I mean, I completely look. It makes sense to do it like now before it gets too close. You don't want to cancel it in like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That's an absolute disaster. So. Bearing in mind, Camden obviously has to travel, and that seems to be becoming like an increasing difficulty at the moment. Then it makes sense. It does. Yeah, I mean, my initial fear, and I'm not criticising the World Championship Committee or anything here whatsoever. But can you remember when in October it is? Is it late?
20, 22, 24.
Okay, so you could get them going to the French.
Yeah, you could. It's a month away, isn't it?
What you wouldn't want is you wouldn't want to have to. Let's say the RTPA was like the week before and was like, we're going to stay there.
Yeah.
You'd lose Cam and Rob for that, and practice partners if they chose to use anyone because they've got their 10 days practice. They're going to use practice partners.
I'd still play the RTPA.
Well, you haven't had the call from Rob yet?
No, I've not been contacted yet.
Okay, but you could end up losing 2 people that would be. I don't know what their plans are, but
it's going to be weird. It's going to be weird. I mean, people might be short of practice if, like, let's say there's not been a tournament since then. I mean, the French is the first tournament. Let's say if the US Pro doesn't happen then,
that would be heartbreaking. If the US Pro doesn't happen
for bank balances everywhere.
Yeah. Well,
that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, I mean that is like.
Do you know what I mean? That's actually big. Like
such a fun event. Like yes, you know, there's the money's good there, but like the things you get to do, like for that tournament, like going to like Mr. Ford's like mansion, going to like the yacht club for dinner, like the function, that part of the world is just insane.
Yeah.
So the places you get to go and the things you get to do, like we're so lucky in that event. It should be 3 sets. We've been down that road before.
God. We're not. That's episode 2, which wasn't actually an unknown topic. We'd prepared that, but yeah. But you want to take that all in sober, don't you, as well? Like you wouldn't want to be like drunk and maybe miss out on stuff hungover at the US Pro. Am I right?
Depends where you go to in the tournament. 6 till 8 free bar. If you're out first round, I've always said, if I were to get knocked out in the first round, and I obviously would hope that would never happen. If I lost first round in any tournament, the tournament I'd be least bothered about losing first round in would be the Shocket.
Interesting.
Because you'd have so much fun there. Pro-Am, you've got all the social functions. Like your week is taken care of. It's a great place.
Interesting. Well, let's hope it's not affected by coronavirus and the US of A.
Well, how far away is that? So that's first week in June. So what are we talking? So we're basically just under 2 months.
The Champions Trophy starts on the 14th of July.
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had that in my diary.
I bet Nick Wood's panicking about that already.
Oh well, he's not a listener. We hope. But
don't Scott and Josh, don't put this on in the pro shop.
No, don't do it. We'll
don't want to stress him out anymore.
Well, we'll see. Well, we've talked about there like maybe some big matches in your career. Briefly touched on what's going to happen with coronavirus. I don't really want to talk about it loads because it's fairly.
We've touched on what's going to happen with the coronavirus.
We know.
We've just solved the world.
It's fairly negative stuff, but let's hope it doesn't affect readers too much.
That would be bad.
Annoying. But we'll still be able to practice. That's okay. Once we both had it, you'd think you wouldn't be able to get it again.
What? It's just
as long as clubs don't close. I mean, Queens might shut.
Well, it's just the flu.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm just not arsed.
I literally don't care.
Yeah, no, I'll battle through. I'll still go to the gym. Gyms might be shut.
I understand, like the elder statesmen, need to be concerned.
Yeah, dangerous.
But they need to be concerned about the flu. So
exactly.
Anyway, for God's sake, can we not sit here and talk about fucking coronavirus?
And real tennis. No, we'd sit here
That's
forever.
all anybody's hearing about anyway.
I know. So we'll probably move on to the real tennis cyborg. Which we've been for 20 minutes. So now we've done so much. I can't really.
Right, I can. Let me tell you.
Go on, yeah. I can't be fucked.
So our real tennis cyborg has Chris Ronaldson serving.
Yes.
With Tim Chisholm returning.
Yes.
Camden's retrieving.
Yeah.
And we went for, I basically dictated that we went for Rob Fay's backhand.
You did, yeah. I mean, if it had been up to me, I'd probably give it you, but
I would have taken it. Well, hang on, whoa. We can get Rob out.
Sorry, podcast's been uploaded. We can't do anything about that.
BTM a close second.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Jay Gould was great as well.
I'll take that. See, that's another thing I can retire happy with.
Exactly.
Garbage at everything, but an amazing backhand. I'll take that.
There we go. Good boozer.
It's always nice to have a peak.
But no, today's about the forehand, so it can be anyone.
Well, yeah, so we had this... I thought we were doing... Because they're different styles of shot completely, I thought we were doing right-hander. But you said it can be... You said at the end of the last podcast it could be anyone.
Yeah, it can be anyone.
So lefties are now in the mix.
Lefties are 100% in the mix. You joking? James Look... No, joking. There could be any... Right, okay. Steve Vagona for me. I was like, well, he's got to be in the mix at least.
Oh, I mean, he's in the conversation. Obviously.
He's in the conversation.
Chris Ailey.
Anyway, so I've got a good idea.
His forehand is good.
Yeah, it's not quite that same pace as other left-handers.
He's never been pushed.
That's true. Yeah, put him in that zone.
Put him up against Vagona and see what happens.
I've got a decent anecdote about Steve's forehand. So this is 2018, and basically it was the final eliminator against Rob at Prested, and he messaged me like 2 weeks before, a week before, saying, "Mate, can you hit on the Monday at Preston?" And I was like, "Oh my god, oh my god, can I?" Like, Steve, I would love to. 3 hours practice with you. So get to Prested, drive down, miss a few lectures at uni. Steve, how's it going? He's like, right, perfect, yeah. Just basically going to do some cross course and then just want to practice my return to serve. And I was like, right, great, yeah. Just what do you want me to serve, Steve? Anything? I'll do it. And he's like, yeah, just serve like short sidewalls, demi PKs, some bobbles. And I'm like, yeah, great. And he was like, yeah, some railroads. Anyway, so I start serving this, and this is after an hour of the practice, and basically he is absolutely teeing off.
Well, and what we need to also take into account to talk about how good this forehand is, you were a very close second to Chris Ronaldson in the Real Tennis Cyborg of serving. Like, your serving is...
Oh my god! I actually thought you were being serious then. Oh my god! Yeah, no. So yeah, generally some of these demi PKs and some of these sidewalls, yeah, they're really short, and he's he's turning on them on his left hand, and I thought I was going to die for 2 hours. I honestly thought I was going to die because he was just absolutely fucking nailing them.
So he's basically like, do me a favour, Shenks.
Just
can you just hit me some absolute toilet? And you're like, not a problem, mate. I'll just practice my demi PK.
Yeah, I was just practicing my sidewall. Oh my god! Like, I nearly got hit a few times because obviously, like with the left-handers, you've played more than me. Like, they can just wrap round when you think it's a main wall. They can just go straight at you.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck! I've got to have my wits about me. I basically was like that for 2 hours.
Much harder to pick lefty.
Yeah, and I was like, fuck. You know. And a few times he was like, sorry, mate, you all right? And I'm like, yeah, Steve, yeah, I'll keep serving.
I'm still alive, Steve. Everything's good.
And then he cooked me a plate of veg afterwards. And I drove back and got home at 2 a.m. It was good fun.
Well, at least he didn't pay you. You're not allowed as an amateur. So well done, Steve.
It was a free trip. But yeah, no, I was just like, mate, this forehand's scary. What about you? Any suggestions?
So I was chatting to somebody in the week, and I will read. I'm hesitating. I'm going to read you the text that I got from them verbatim. I'm just scanning it to make sure there's nothing that I have to gloss over. Right. I'll ignore the last bit. So,
go on.
Chisholm, all-round best forehand and also best individual forehand volley. So, the text started, forehand what, question mark. There are a few different ones. Chisholm, all-round best forehand and also best individual forehand volley, best half volley, best force, best volley force, better than the rest of history combined.
That's a big claim.
Dukar was amazing off the back wall forehand. And then this person then compared somebody else's forehand to...
Say it.
I can't. No, I can't.
Give me a clue.
Somebody wins ugliest forehand since R. Tard lost the Paris 100 plus handicap championships. Sorry, that makes more sense to me. But anyway, Tim Chisholm apparently is the nomination. So Lockie, forehand off the back wall, apparently sick.
Interesting.
But this kind of ties into what we were saying about the return of serve.
Yeah.
Like Tim's forehand volley.
Yeah,
volley
it's sort of I mean, we're going to come into volley soon.
Yeah, but hang on, it depends what you didn't specify what you meant by forehand. So we're serving, same thing, all round serve.
Agree. I just want an all-round forehand.
All round. So all round forehand.
Yeah.
I will read this to you again.
Go on.
All round best forehand. And also best individual forehand volley, best half volley, best force, best volley force, better than the rest of history combined.
Well, how do you know? I mean, you never saw like Peter Latham. Therefore,
I'm just going to put this out there. I never saw Peter Latham play.
Yeah.
Let's ask Tim. Tim, what do you think? Do you think your volley forehand was better than
Peter Latham?
When
you put it like that, right? Well,
I mean, obviously, it's like the Messi Maradona argument or whatever. Isn't it? It's different eras. So those guys back then, I'm assuming, didn't think, right, I'll drill forehand volleys into the top corner of the dead on.
Yeah.
So you can't compare it. You can only compare that with like recent history. Like, I know it's just, you don't want to just talk about these two, but like, Rob and Tim, but the fact is they're like the two best players ever. So
yeah. Are there any like sort of underrated forehands out there? I mean, I'm just thinking of like players who relied on it a little bit, like maybe Medlow.
Great forehand.
Yeah, he had a lot of power on that.
Great forehand. Yeah, I mean, I've not even thought about lefties.
Well, I just kind of came to mind.
Steve's obviously in the conversation. Tim has to be in the conversation. You have to put Rob in the conversation. I'm going to throw Nick Howell into the mix.
Yeah.
His forehand
it's a cannon.
is very, very good.
It's a hammer.
I'm just literally ripping through the top 10 now, and with all due respect to everybody else, myself included, it's not best of all time, so unlucky. Who else was just really
a really good forehand?
The thing is, do you? And I'm going to go back on. I'm going to go like years gone by. So hopefully Connor doesn't get too offended. I'm only asking the question. I'm not judging, because Connor at the time when he was a lot younger was so dominant on one side.
Yeah.
Did his forehand right? I'm asking you.
Go on.
Was his forehand absolutely amazing, or was his forehand made to look better because his backhand was lacking?
I go with the first one. I feel like if your forehand's actually not as good, but you rely on it a lot, it will still seem bad if it isn't bad. If it is bad, do you know what I mean?
Yep.
You could still pick holes in it, whereas clearly it was.
So maybe it's the other way around then. Maybe his backhand wasn't as bad as
I
it
don't
looks.
think
It's because his forehand was just so good.
I don't think you can get to +2.
Is that the same thing with my forehand then? It's not as bad.
No, your forehand's obviously good. Like you still nail to contextualise. You still nail loads of grills today. Like, do you know what I mean? And that's on your forehand.
Beat you in the grill game. Something that's only ever happened twice in the history of in the world.
Cheers, righty. And clearly not. You can, like, if I just hit every ball to your forehand, would I win? No. So clearly it can't be that bad.
All right. So on that basis, Connor's forehand was just sick good.
Yeah, of course.
Sorry, it is.
Yeah, if he plays.
What I'm going to do is, because we need to start eliminating people.
Go on.
I'm going to eliminate Connor.
I agree. I'm going to
and keep Steve, because if you're going to if you put the two of them up against each other, Steve wins.
Yeah, I agree.
So therefore, you have to lose.
Steve has to be better.
You have to lose Connor.
Both a bit reliant.
But again, what an honour to be involved in the conversation. Is there anyone I can't even think of? I mean, Lewis Gordon slapped.
Oh, I'll tell you what, Lewis Gordon. Yeah, his forehand's a bit of a cannon.
In particular situations, if you're asking him to like chop line and length
or retrieve,
not as good.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Or do planks.
That's the point. Got to do the plank.
I know. Other forehands out there. Daz?
No. Move on. Sorry.
Okay, we'll move on. No. That's fine. James Mayle?
Didn't see it.
Drew. Never missed either.
Of all time?
No, obviously not.
most forehands of all time, Drew, like without fail.
Yeah, there we go. No, we got there.
The most forehands of all time.
Did
I mean, and what we need to obviously like think about past eras and stuff. Like obviously Wayne was a bit of a gun on court. Never saw him play, so I can't comment. If anybody wants to nominate Wayne, feel free. And there's nothing that we can say to poo-poo that.
I think a lot of people. Simon Edmund nominated Steve.
Steve. Yeah.
It's just the people who have nominated. I think Levi said Steve, perhaps. Actually, no, he didn't. We were just talking about it. Yeah, his springs to mind. What's good about Steve's forehand, Ben?
What you're asking me?
Yeah.
Well, hang on a minute. He's going to listen. What do you want? He's going to be listening.
Oh, it's just. I mean, we talked about Rob's backhand, didn't we? We talked about Rob's backhand last week. I mean, it's just a podcast,
and we know that Rob listens, so that's fine.
I mean, we're all men. It's okay. Just talk.
Well, the like relentless aggression that you get from it, like the amount of time that you don't get from it. So it's not the tightest forehand in the world by a long way. Like, but that's not his style of play. He doesn't choose to be tight with it. He can, and he hits it very well. I just think, when you've got like one wing like that, forehand side or whatever, and you've got options, that helps. Do you know what I mean? Like you go, right, I can hit a drive, I can hit a boast, I can hit a tickler, I can chop it in front of the timbre. Like, he can do everything. That's what's...
Does Steve's forehand, because it's the dominant side, does that take anything away from his backhand? To flip that question on
what do you mean? Does it take anything away from his
backhand? The same question you asked me about Connor.
Well, I think Steve will be the first person to admit, and if he doesn't, everybody will be quite happy to tell him that 15 years ago his backhand was just not very good. But it is now very good.
Yeah, it's good.
So he's put in a lot of work to make that better. And before you'd basically be like, right, I don't really want to go anywhere near his forehand. But you can't avoid, you can't avoid it. You can't just put everything. And that's what ended up happening. Like when I was a young idiot, just basically going like, right, forehand's good, backhand's bad, hit everything to his backhand. You'd hit the ball to his backhand, and he just stood there. He's like, yeah, you're so one-dimensional. I'm just going to stand here. And like you say, it wasn't a bad backhand,
no,
but he's still going to beat me with it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but his forehand, and I think his backhand was made to look worse than it was because his forehand's so good.
I agree. Have you got any other nominations before we come to a final conclusion?
To be fair, I thought
you had a few ideas.
Compared to last week, we were actually quite rich on people. Okay, well let's do this then. So, best left-hander forehand. Steve,
yeah.
Okay.
Best
right-hander.
Good question.
I mean, for me, so
Good question.
I've asked a couple of people. Like every time I've thought to myself, I want to have a look at my forehand and make it a bit better.
Yeah.
Who should I speak to? I've gone to Tim every time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the text I got from the anonymous punter
person
seems pretty damning that Tim is
the best. Yeah,
the man.
Can do it all. I do like the reference in that text to half volley. I mean, it's underrated. About a forehand half volley is probably a little bit harder than the backhand half volley.
So I would argue that Tim's forehand is tighter than Steve's, but that's where the area of the court they're playing from makes a massive difference.
Agreed.
Because we as right-handers are going, if we're talking about the general down the line stuff, we have to be quite tight because as we both know, if you take on like a grill ball or you hit anything loose in that grill corner, you get munched now. It's not, it's not 15 handicap tennis anymore where you just bat it into that corner and you win because everyone's so crap at reading it. Like now that is, if you miss in that corner, you're in trouble, right?
Yeah.
You cross that line, you're in trouble. Steve, because he's got an angle and he can hit back wall first and it run up alongside the timbre or inside of the timbre and then end up in the middle of the court, like the variables and where that ball can finish mean that he can be more aggressive and therefore not as tight because there's much less punishment to have. Does that make sense?
That's a really cool phrase, actually. The variables of where the ball can finish, and it's interesting.
Steve's hitting it cross court. He can, if he hits back wall first, it's up by the edge of the timber.
Yeah.
And if he hits timber wall first and then back wall, it's in the middle of the court.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking with the aggression he's hitting, it's like right up by the stroke line.
Yeah.
But we're talking about a 5-yard difference and a
Agreed.
massive difference in angle. So if you misread it, you're in trouble. Whereas with a right-hander going straight up the line,
Yeah.
your variables are basically length, not width.
Yeah.
So you can just charge over there. The only thing you've got to worry about is the timber, but you've got to worry about that for a lefty as well. So what's the difference? All right. I always step in and have the final say here.
Come on.
So it's your turn today. I know I know who you're going to say.
Yeah.
And that's fine, but it's your decision because I'm happy with. I mean, again, same thing as like the return of serve. I'm happy with. We went for Tim just because of the volley down the line force. But I would have been happy if someone said, "Oh, you've got Robs." I'd be like, "Oh no, what a shame."
Oh no. Oh no.
What a shame.
Just because I've faced it a lot, I've watched it a lot, and I just think like that's genuinely scared me.
Well, there you go.
That's genuinely scared me.
If it scares you,
yeah.
I mean, we're talking about Steve, right?
I was talking about his forehand. Wait. It's.
You never played Tim?
I've been on court, but he was messing around.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, Tim's scary.
Really?
Like, yeah, Tim can be very scary.
Fair play. I'd have liked to see it back in the day.
I was chatting to somebody a while back, and they said like they've only ever been hit like 4 times in their real tennis career.
Really?
3 of them are from Tim.
I was about to say something like someone hit them, literally punched them. I was about to name someone, but I was like, no, don't say that.
All right, well, congratulations, Steve Agona. He's been fishing behind the scenes, everybody.
Yes, he has. He messages us every week.
He's been fishing for compliments since this started.
I must add, Steve actually offered some insight last week when we were talking about the tournaments. Apparently, there was an end of season tournament, the Laurent Perrier Masters, which was sort of the end of season thing. So
bring it back.
Yeah, let's do it back. Let's bring it back. Maybe in a best of 3 format, not best of 5.
So there we go. Persistence is key. So if anybody wants to be part of the cyborg, just message us relentlessly.
Yeah.
And we'll get you in there. But this is also good for the cyborg because it's another new player. It's another new aspect.
I'm all about new players. Do you know what I mean? I don't want like 6 of the same player. Maybe I'm just too nice. Who knows?
Well, because what we're doing is we're picking the best thing, the best section, from across the board.
Yeah.
The best all-round player by an absolute country mile is Rob Fay.
Yeah.
And no one will ever be able to argue the toss. No one.
Never.
So even though we've said like Tim's return a serve, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying he did, but Tim might have like an amazing return a serve, but then like be bad at retrieval. Whereas Rob could do all of it very, very well. Can do all of it. We've now got to wait another 6 months to see it again.
Who knows what's going to happen between now and then? But yeah, anyway. So we're going to say the
what's next?
Forehand for the cyborg, Steve Agona.
So we've got Ronaldson serving, Chisholm returning, Cam retrieving, Rob Fay hitting backhands, Steve Agona hitting forehands.
You know what it's going to be, Ben?
Go on.
Targets,
okay.
I want to get some new names in the mix.
I mean, if you're talking targets, I can think of a few people that are in the conversation.
Mate, so can I. Some flair names.
In terms of, I can think of a lot of people to talk about, but in terms of who's actually going to get the nod for the greatest of all time,
it's not going to be the names we're thinking.
I'm telling you now, it's going to be someone who has already has a different aspects of the cyborg.
I agree, but that's for next time. Anyway, well, such a long podcast. I'm really sorry about
everyone.
That. Oh no. However, hope you've enjoyed, and we'll be back for episode 7 next week.